In this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to draw Dio from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, similar to this one that you're seeing right now. And if you do want to follow along with me, then I will leave a list of all the equipment that I'm using for this video in the description down below. If you do end up enjoying this video, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It will really help us out on the road to 300 subscribers. Also, this video was requested by Fun Omega, so thanks for the idea. But without further ado, let's get right into it. And one final note, the voiceover for this was recorded in the middle of a storm, so I do apologise if the audio is a bit off or anything like that. So we're going to start off by drawing a circle to mark out the base of the skull. Then we're going to draw some intersecting lines to show the shape in 3D and also mark out the center line for the head. Once you've done that, we're going to bring some of these lines down for the jawline. Now, this character has quite a large chin and jawline, so they can be slightly exaggerated, but this is still the sketching phase, so you don't need to worry about them being precise. Once you've done that, we're going to start marking out some of the main facial structures, so the eye line, the mouth line, and the nose. As well as this, we're going to mark out the cheekbones and also the neck. Once we've got those all in position, we're going to start refining these. A few things to keep in mind is that the nose is quite a lot smaller in proportion to the rest of the face, and also the chin is a lot larger than it regularly would be, but of course it all depends on style. Like for me, I ended up drawing the nose slightly longer than it should have been, which did throw it off a little bit from the actual version, but it's nothing too much to worry about. Now the eyes are quite slender and point up quite a bit. Now his pupils are actually quite small in comparison to his eyes, so just keep that in mind for a more kind of zany, villainous kind of look to him. Now for his hair, I'm not the best at drawing hair in this kind of style, or any style for that matter, but the basic principle is to not draw every single strand of hair, but instead group them together in separate parts and have them all coming out from one point or one line on the head. So here it will start coming out from the center at the front and then slowly get a bit more messy and just kind of come out in random places at the back. But if you see what I'm doing here, you can just kind of copy along with that. Now once you've done that, I'm going to go and add in a bit of a shoulder, just so it's not a floating head in the middle of nowhere and it's got a little bit more structure to it. Now that's the entirety of the basic sketch finished, so now we're going to move in and refine all of the lines. So let's get started by erasing all of it out until you can barely see it, which gives you access to a lot cleaner and more refined line work in the end. Or if you just want to stick with pencils, then it also makes it look a lot more clean. Basically, we're just going to be going over everything that we've done and fixing any mistakes or inaccuracies that we made in the first stage. Now what you could also do is add in a few line weights. As you can see what I'm doing around with the upper eyelid, the line is a lot thicker, a lot darker. Now this is basically used just to add a slight shadow to certain elements instead of adding a complete cast shadow or anything like that. Now what I'm going to do here is erase the lines again and do a further refined one. Now you don't have to do this if you don't want to or you don't have enough time to, but I'm just going to do this again and I'm going to speed it up and see you in the inking phase. I've done all that, I'm going to be using my 02 micron fineliner and I'm going to be going over most of the lines and adding in a few line weights just to give it a little more form and make it look a little bit nicer. Once you've got all the line works out of the way, what I'm going to do is erase all of the pencil lines, which leaves quite a clean looking figure that we've got right here. So now, as you can see, what I'm doing here is I'm adding in a couple of arrows to show where the light's coming from. So what I'm having is a two-part lighting. So we're going to have base light, which will be the larger arrow that you can see off to my right. And then there's also going to be a rim light, which is going to be slightly behind the character on the left. Now this just makes it kind of pop out from any kind of background. So what's going to happen here is, say if I've got a sphere, as you can see the sphere is mainly lit by the fill light and then it's going to get dark quite gradually until it hits the rim light, which will cause quite a high contrast kind of light. Again, using the 02 micron fineliner, I'm going to be adding in some line shading. Now what you could do here is you could use the pencil again and just kind of mark out different areas for the shadow to be cast, which will just give you a little bit of a better understanding of where the shadows will fall. But as long as you recognize that the shadow will be cast behind any objects that stick out of the face, you should be okay. Or you could just follow along with where I'm putting my shadows here and you should be absolutely fine. Once all of this is done, I'm going to be using a black marker and I'm going to be shadowing in all of the black parts of the costume. Now we're going to be moving on to adding some colour. Now I'll leave a list of all the markers that I've used in the description. If you're interested in buying them, I might leave a couple of links. But you could use colour pencils, watercolours, absolutely anything, as long as you know that the ink from the fine liners that you're using is waterproof. Now we're going to be moving on to adding skin tone. Now I would definitely recommend starting off with a lighter tone and then slowly moving on to darker colours. And the way I blend here is I start off by adding the lighter colour, then go over that with the darker colour, and then go over the lighter colour again and just kind of mix them in together, similar to the way you'd use like colour pencils. With the eyes, you can leave these white. However, what I've done is I've used a really light grey and kind of added a little bit of a shadow from the upper eyelid. Now as you can see, I'm going in with a highlight pen and adding in a couple of highlights. So in the hair, I use a couple of like scribbles to show that the hair has a bit more texture and it's not a flat solid object. Yeah, we're gonna ignore that this happened here. Now once you've done all of this, you can add an outline around it, or you can add a background, or absolutely anything that you want to do since we've finished the character. Now let's just take a look at how this turned out. But that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then make sure to leave a comment and like the video. If you're new, then make sure to subscribe, and also leave a suggestion of what you'd like to see next week for the next video. It can be a challenge, tutorial, or trying out a brand new supply. But yeah, make sure to do that, and I'll see you all next time. Also, here's a little blooper of the storm interrupting my voiceover. If you're interested in that, here you go. To start with, we're going to draw a circle. Oh.